Let his love shine, stories of grace, hope redefined. Heart to heart, let's lift our eyes. Welcome home to light it up alive. In a world that feels so dark, we carry hope, we spark a spark. Faith and love, we come alive. Together here on Light It Up Live. So light it up, let his love shine. Stories of grace, hope redefined. Heart to heart, let's lift our eyes. Welcome home to Light It Up Live. Welcome home to Light It Up Live. In a world that feels so dark, we carry hope, we spark a spark. Faith and love, we come alive. Together here on Light It Up Live. So light it up, let his love shine. Stories of grace, hope redefined. Heart to heart, let's lift our eyes. Welcome home to Light It Up Live.
Hey, we're back. Welcome to another episode of Light It Up Live, where we're igniting minds and elevating faith. I'm your host tonight. My name's John, but I don't do it alone because I got my boy Josh with me.
What's up, bro? How you doing,
What's
man?
going on, man?
Chilling.
Oh, what a
You get
long
excited
week,
on
huh?
that one. You just
Yeah,
like,
dude,
hey,
my music was working.
Everything was clicking.
Everything's clicking, everything on time. Because last show, and for the people that were listening, I'm used to having our background music and everything flows perfectly. But we came on and there was no music. It was totally silent. I'm like,
Right? I was like, we can work past it, and you're like, yeah,
we
sure
but
can.
it
Clickety
don't
click,
have
click.
the
Hold on.
oomph. It don't have the oomph to it. You know what I mean?
It don't. It don't.
Oomph. That's a good word,
Oomph.
Josh. Oomph.
Oomph.
The oomph.
Yeah.
Why does it
Yeah,
sound
it's like when I
funnier
get up,
you say it?
because that's the noise I make when I get up for work in the morning. I'm like, oh,
Oomph. You
Time to
guys
make
don't
the
forget to check us out on YouTube. Go over there to YouTube. It's absolutely free. And in the search bar, put all one word at and Light It Up Live. If you're watching right now, you'll see the little symbol right above Josh's head. That's how you'll find us. Go on there. It's for free. Always going to be free. And
Always gonna
like,
be free.
subscribe, and all that good stuff. And as always, before we get too far, we always like to remind you guys how the name Light It Up Live, how it came to fruition. And actually, it was a good buddy of ours, Impact, that came up with the idea, and we loved it and we added the word live. But it comes from Genesis 1, 3, and 4. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. For God saw the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. That's what we do here on Light It Up Live. We try to bring a little bit of light into a dark world, one episode at a time.
Man,
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing
Long
pretty
long
good,
week
man.
again.
It's
you
been
know?
another long week, dude. And then
Yeah, what's going on? You know?
I was the dummy that volunteered to work this weekend because, our job, we get to volunteer for Saturdays. And last week I was like, I can't work this weekend, boss, but I'll work next weekend. And
Mhm.
then Friday came. I was like, oh.
Yeah, man, it was hard to say no. You know what I mean? But I said no. I had to say no.
Yeah, good for
Yeah, I was
you.
like, I got stuff to do. You know what I'm saying? I
Good
looked
for
at the
you.
lawnmower today. I didn't cut no grass, but I
You
definitely
still
looked
didn't
at it.
cut the grass. Come on, man.
No. I was like, it's gonna rain any minute. I know it.
So we
Right.
got a special guest in the green room for later, man.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's
Coach.
Coach
right?
Keith.
Coach
They
Keith.
call him Coach Keith.
Man, that's
But
cool, man.
he's not no football coach. He's
No.
he's gonna come on. He's gonna let us know how to love, Josh. He's a marriage counselor.
Right? The love doctor.
The lo-
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
love doctor.
Yeah.
Had a good
That's
rate. Yeah.
good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we should have.
You gotta say it like that though.
Yeah,
The
yeah. We
love
should have
doctor.
made a song for Keith coming on.
Oh.
like made a funny song to love.
Well, we might have to get to know him a little better. We just make a song for him, you know. He'd be like, hey, man.
Yeah, well, cool intro.
Yeah, a little cool intro, you know.
You got a spotlight for us today?
I got a spotlight, but you was like, hey,
Oh!
whatever's on your mind, bro. And I was telling you, the only thing that's on my mind, okay, is
Wait,
video games,
okay.
politics, and going to work.
But we
You know what
gotta
I mean?
do
And I ain't talking
music first.
politics, so
It's gonna be one or the other.
it's gonna be something.
It's time for Josh's spotlight.
All right. It's been a
He
while.
said, "I ain't talking about politics." So
No, I ain't got time for that, man. I got time.
So
I'm
that-
Green Party anyway, you know.
that
Leave
narrowed
me
it
alone. Yeah, our vote never mattered.
that narrowed it down. Kind of think I know what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
All
on
right.
Josh's spotlight tonight, buddy?
All right, so what's on my mind, okay, is we got a lot of elections taking place, okay, and I ain't gonna sit here and tell you who to vote for, any of that, but get out on the day to vote. Don't do the mail-in thing or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you do it on the day, there's no chance of anybody doing anything strange. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like the numbers come in on the day, and that's what the count is. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? So
That's
I'm a
good.
fan of Mr. Fishback. You know what I'm saying? That's here in Florida. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The name's kind of strange, but hey, you know, but do your homework on your candidates. You know what I'm saying? It's what we are as Americans, man. We got the right to
Amen.
vote. We got the right to choose who we want to see in those
Amen.
seats. You know, and the best thing to do is research your people. You know what I'm saying? Talk with your family and your friends and say, hey, I like this. You know, really chop up good ideas with each other. You know, I mean, we're not going to get out of this alive, man. So let's just try
Amen.
to make the best of everything. And the more we know, the more we can help out. You know what I mean? Because I mean, your vote matters. It really does.
Amen.
So my spotlight, you know, like I said, I didn't want it to be political. That's not really too political and everything, you know. But you know, they got UFO files out, man. Did you see them?
No, I didn't see 'em. Did it come out?
UFO.gov. Yeah. The government website's got UFO files. I've been reading these things.
Oh Lord, I might have
Oh,
to check it out.
Yeah, you got to check it
UFO.
out. But my spotlight is pretty much, you know what I'm saying, use your voice, you know, as
Absolutely.
Americans.
I love it.
It's definitely vote, you know, 250 years old, you know what I'm saying, and definitely vote. Oh,
And if you're one of those people that complain about things that are going on and you don't vote, shut up.
yeah, right. I mean, you know, you can complain all day if you went out because you know what I'm saying, your vote wasn't talk, you know what I'm saying? But if you didn't even give it a chance,
right.
you know what I mean? Yeah, come on now. I mean, you can mail in vote. So it's not like, you know, you got to walk in and look at people. I understand. Some people don't like to look at people, you know. I wonder who they're voting for. I'm over here like, I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I knew who I'm voting for. That's what matters. That's right.
That's all that matters, you know.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
Yeah. We'll have to talk about that later too. I got to tell you a couple things.
Cool. Yeah.
Off the show.
we
But that was
will.
my spotlight, you know what I'm
I
saying?
love
was
it.
just the only thing that was on my mind because I've been looking at it all day. So
Yeah, I love it,
Yeah.
man. Great spotlight.
lot of good candidates, man. Like there is.
Yeah.
There was a candidate somewhere. For the Democrat Party. I don't remember where it was, but oh my goodness. For those that know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But anyway.
Oh,
Ooh,
but
yeah.
that was good. man.
Candidates
was
like
good.
that
Good
are a
spotlight.
gift to Republicans, and they don't even know it. You're like, thanks. That's what we got to go up against. All right, this is gonna be a no-hitter. You know, bases loaded, man. I'm knocking it out the
Yeah.
So
So, man, we got a special guest, and then I'm gonna pull up the today's show title because Josh came up with it, and I thought it was brilliant.
what happened? Yeah. You know, when you first told me the guest name, Keith Dorst, right?
Dorst.
Dorst. I thought of Stephen Dorst, the actor. You know what I'm saying? The guy who played Frost, Deacon Frost in the Blade movie.
Oh,
You know what I
okay.
mean? I was like,
I
I
know
know that last name. Yeah. I think it's the same last name.
Dorst.
Dorst. We'll have to ask him
Dorst.
because I'm sure he would know. You know?
But our special guest is Mr. Keith Dorst. He's a marriage counselor. Like I said, I got a little opening monologue and closing monologue today for Mr. Dorst, and we're going to learn about a little bit of love today, Josh. But before it comes on, tonight's guest has spent over 30 years helping save marriages, conducting more than 500 marriage and incentives and over 30,000 counseling sessions. But then something happened that changed everything. His own 27-year marriage ended. Tonight isn't just about marriage. It's about burial, shame, redemption, and what God does when life turns out the way we planned. Please welcome Mr. Keith. I think I'm saying it right. Dorst.
That's the one time you got it right. Very
That
good.
wasn't the only time. The whole
No,
time.
that was it. That was it. Josh nailed it every time.
Oh!
I love that title. Yeah, thanks for that, Josh. That's
No
special.
problem, man.
Yeah.
All right.
When
Well,
you were
man,
talking
Love
about
Doctor.
love doctor, I was gonna go and get my velvet smoking jacket
Yeah,
on,
there you go.
pour a glass
Little
of
pipe.
wine, but I didn't know if I had time or not.
So welcome to the show, Coach
Thank you,
Keith.
guys. Thank you.
Heck
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Got it. I put out requests for guests, and Keith hit us up, and I read his bio, and I'm like, God, it's perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect. You know, there's rocky roads on it, but it's got a good ending. You know what I mean? And we could, I think a lot of men out there can learn from Coach Keith, and so that's why he's on the show, man. So tell us, Coach, what do you do? How did you start doing what you're doing? Who's Coach Keith?
All right. I like what you said. You know, hoping men out there can learn from me. I hope they can. I watched a podcast. I can't remember the name. It was like 2 weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, and the person said mentorship is learning the lessons without having to go through the pain. And I thought, wow, that's what I want this to be. I want your audience to learn the lessons that I learned the hard way without having to go through the pain. So
Yeah.
Without
the suffering.
Let's dig in, man. Where does it start? It's hard to say. When I was, although I know when I was 11, I was sitting in front of my family doctor practitioner, and he said, "You're the youngest person I've ever known to have a stomach ulcer. You must have a lot of stress in your life or something." And I wasn't really aware of anything at that point, other than the pain. That hurts, man. An ulcer hurts. I remember just fetal position, going like, trying to get away. Then I guess like a few years later, as I went into teen years, if my parents didn't approve of something I did, didn't even have to be wrong, you know, no, not breaking any laws, no vandalism, not like just something they didn't approve of. The discipline would be days of silence, up to 30 days of just not talking to me, as if like I didn't exist. It didn't matter if my birthday fell in that time. Them and my siblings would join in on this, and we'd all be sitting at the table at dinner, eating away, and everybody's just talking around me. And so I would come home from middle school or high school over this time, and I'd walk through the doors of the house and go, I wish my mom would ask me this question about my day. And I'd have the question in my head, and then I'd answer it in my head and go, I'd say this. And then, she'd ask me this follow-up question, and I would answer this. And I was staying sane. I wasn't having voices in my head, but I was just carrying conversations in my head just to cope and like have some sense of someone was interested in me in some way. And I think a lot of that type of dynamic in the family, at least for me, put a real root of shame in me, of like I'm something's wrong with me. I'm not even worth being talked to and stuff, you know. And I was a good kid. I really was. I didn't get in trouble. I was heavily involved in church and youth group, and went on to lead it and all this stuff. And I just didn't seem to get recognized for all, not praise, but just, hey, who are you? Oh, you're a good kid. For some reason, I just call me the black sheep or something like that. Let's jump ahead, because the question is like, how did I get into marriage counseling? So at 13, I knew I wanted to be a counselor. And usually that's, at that age, it's because you recognize, my family screwed up. I don't want other people to live with this. I want to make sure no one else has to go through this. So that's in its very rawest form. But when I was in the youth group at church, parents would say, hey, I'll buy your lunch if you take my kid out for lunch and just talk common sense to them. They knew I could reach them somehow. And so I had affirmation, thankfully, for some ability to talk to people and help them in whatever area. Then I'm going to jump ahead to being married. And you guys familiar with Chuck Swindoll at all? He's like 90 something, a big
Uh,
popular California preacher who had his own radio program. So I was listening to his program. I'm married, just shortly, uh, driving home from work, listening to his program, and he says, "Hey, you know what? Some people can invite demonic influence in their life just through cultural things. Things that are just part of their cultural that they just do because they've always done it and everybody does it, but they can be doorways to demonic influence in your life." And I thought of my wife at the time. Her grandmother from Italy would have her as a young child go outside and stand on one foot barefoot. So barefoot on one foot, and you pray something to the moon. And that just popped in my head. So when I got home that night, she said, "How was work?" And I said, "Oh, it was good." I said, "Funny thing, Chuck was talking about this on the radio program, and I wondered if you doing this when you were 5 years old opened the door to any spiritual influence on your life." And the room like literally went cold, and this voice came out of her and said, "I am going to kill you." I thought, we'd only been married a little over a year. It hadn't gotten that bad yet. So this was something outside of her influencing her. And thankfully, growing up in the church, we had a senior pastor. I remember he would come to the youth group and tell us stories about people that would come in his office and fall on the floor and slither like snakes, and their face contort like pigs, and different voices coming out and all that stuff. And in those times,
Oh.
I always wondered, boy, would I know what to do in that situation? Well, here I was confronted with that. And anyways, we worked through it over a period of months, and got some help from that pastor. And then people started coming to me and saying, "Hey, we got strange stuff happening, like for no reasons, things floating in the room." Or my husband gets up in the middle of the night to go get a glass of water, and a demon comes under the covers of the bed and rapes me. And we need help with this kind of stuff. So I would help them with that because of what I went through and then some training I had gotten. After we deal with, that poltergeist type stuff, they would say, "Our marriage isn't doing too good. Would you be willing to help us with that?" And I'm like, "I'll give it a try." I failed psychology in psychology 101 in university. I got a failing grade in because I'm just not a scholarly type of person. But I had some skill and knack and gifting, I guess. So I would help them. And so I would tell people, if a lamp floats across your living room and you don't know why, come and see me. We should talk. If your spouse throws the lamp at you, come and see me. We should talk, because there's a whole lot of reasons why things can be going on in a marriage. And so that really took off for me working with marriages. And then in 2003, I got an invitation to move my family down from Toronto, Canada, down to Colorado Springs to join a counseling ministry called Biblical Concepts in Counseling. And it had a 3-year wait list for people. It was donation based, so that's a big part of the reason. But the founder would go and talk in different cities around the country, and then for the next few months, we'd get a flood of people coming to Colorado wanting counseling. And so we set it up where we'd do a 15-hour intensive with them. So 3 hours every morning for 5 days, and then a different couple in the afternoon from 2 to 5. And I'd see 2 couples a week, and never knew what was going to walk through those doors. And I would help them. And then eventually I got residency down here in the US. I am legal. I can't vote though, Josh. So,
Oh no.
but I don't have to
It's
do
okay.
jury duty. So that's a fair
Yeah,
fair
because
trade
I've
there.
done plenty of jury duties, and it's not all it's cracked up to be,
Okay.
you know.
If I could vote, I would sit through jury duty. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And so I just had like a lot, like I said, over 500 of those types of intensives where I've seen everything. I worked with the Colombian drug lord who in the 70s was responsible for the cocaine coming into America through Miami, who had 2 life sentences on him. Got saved, but you can take the drug lord out of the business, but something still stays, and he was struggling. And so, worked with that, to professional athletes, to megachurch pastors, to just regular common folk people, seeing great results. That's how I got into what I do, and I did it for many years.
Yeah.
Wow. And then,
Yeah, I mean, helping people is like
yeah,
one of the best things to do. You know what I'm saying? And that silence, your parents being silent like that, that's, to me, that's a form of
yeah,
violence. I went through a lot of counseling
right.
as a kid because I was overweight, but the counselors would always be like, "There's nothing wrong with you. I don't know why you're in here." You know what I mean? Yeah, you
Oh,
just picked on. You know, so, but yeah, you knew what coping mechanisms that would
right.
help these people get through what's going on. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yep.
you make a perfect counselor for things like that. I think if you live it, you can talk about it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah, all
let
day
me tell
long.
you how that got redeemed. Because, like I said, I moved to Colorado, and these people would come to Colorado Springs from all over the country. So I always had couples together. Now, the coping as a teenager was asking myself good questions and answering them. Now, what I do, because I always couples, is I have them turn their chairs, go knee to knee, hold hands, and I will give one of them. I don't have any script, but I'll give the husband a question to ask his wife, and I'll say, okay, just say exactly what I'm saying, and they're gonna like, oh, that's crazy. You're giving him the questions, but you know what? If the question registers with him, he's like, that's a good question. It'll come out his eyes, that feeling of I'm curious, and it'll hit her eyes. This is how God made us. It hits these things called mirror neurons. So we actually reflect what the person in front of us is feeling. So if he's feeling curious, even though I gave him the question, she'll feel his curiosity. And it's like, wow, when we talk at home, there's no curiosity. There's criticism, there's blaming, there's everything but that out his eyes. And this is a totally new experience. And their brain suddenly opens up, and he'll ask the question and she'll answer. And then based on her answer, I'll give him the next question, good question, to move them forward. And I keep building that connection stronger and stronger, which never happens at home. But that all came, it was years before I realized I developed that skill back as a coping mechanism. And God will take everything that's violent or traumatic, and if we're open to it, he'll turn it around for good. And the ripple effect of the couple thousand couples I've worked with is going to be huge. So that's the good news on that. You know,
Yeah.
that's why I can talk about it and be okay with what I went through, because it's like,
Yeah, because it was not worth nothing. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Because if you didn't go through that, you couldn't be with who you are today.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes life's hard for some of us. Like, you know what I mean? But it makes the greatest. I feel. You know what I mean?
Yep. So, like
Yeah.
we talked about people being helped through this podcast, right there, I would say, here's what I want your audience to do is go back and look at those painful moments and say, God, if I surrender it to you, if I choose not to stay angry about it or unforgiving about it, but I release it to you, can you turn it around for good? That's what he does. Turn it around for good and multiply it 10, 30, or 100 times, because that's a biblical principle. Don't just turn it around. That'll help one person. Multiply it.
Now, Keith, I think a important part of this testimony is something that you haven't talked about yet. That's in your bio, and you've been transparent about it.
Yep.
And you've already said how many thousands of people that you've counseled, and sports stars and all kinds of people. And then after your own 27-year marriage, what happened? Let's talk about that. And then how'd you get through that?
I'll tell you what that day was like, and then I'll tell you how I got there.
Yeah.
It was a Sunday. My heart had grown cold. My wife and 6 kids all went to church. I stayed home because that's where I was at. And I was actually watching the Home Shopping Channel and looking at this really sweet barbecue grill thing they were selling. And I'm like, I need that. I was doing that. They came home. They came home for lunch. I cooked lunch. They came home for lunch. Then I went out to a part-time job I had. And basically when I came home, they were gone. And there was no discussion, no, hey, this is coming. It wasn't part of her plan. It wasn't part of our plan. Things just unfolded in like a catastrophic, tragic, way that day. And that was the last time I saw them or ever talked to them.
Wow.
And
Really?
that's, yeah. And
To this day.
to this day. I have one child who messages me just profanity after profanity. That's the only contact I have. And so there was no explanation as to what was going on, nothing like that. I saw her and a few of them in the courtroom, but no discussion, and went through that. And it was like 7 deaths, 7 losses in one day. And they say that the losses are the hardest when the person's still alive. You know, they're in the people say, like, did they move? Like, no, I've got one kid just a few streets over from where I live. They're all in town, but there's zero contact. And I understand why that's the case right now. So that was the final day. What led to it is, like, one, on a spiritual level, I totally stopped believing in the goodness of God. There was just things. I had one child that had medical issues, and they were a burden, and they saddened my heart. I thought, this child is not going to have a normal life. Their 5 siblings are going to experience all these great things in life, and because of their issues, they like never will. And it's like, God, I want them well. I'm sure your heart is to want them well. So why aren't they well? And I went that direction. My wife, thankfully, went, like, stayed in God's goodness, believed in his healing power. And I think that really benefited my child, but we came to odds on that, and that just grew deep inside of me. There's a Brandon Lake song about God being good, and I'm like, I would turn any song like that off the radio. And then you know, that I became miserable to live with. I got resentful. I didn't guard my heart one bit, and I let everything come in. Resentment, bitterness, anger, probably some depression, all of that. I believe God had given me some other skills and abilities that just never fully developed. And I'm like, I was blaming him for that. Why don't you take this to the next level in my life? It could do a lot for me. So just bitterness and all that all around. I wouldn't want to be married to me. I don't think we ever had grounds for divorce. And in our marriage, you won't believe, in our marriage, here's something for people. We saw 9 different counselors / coaches, just a variety of each. Some were week-long intensives. Some were like ongoing weekly sessions for a long time, but 9. And still no one uncovered that I had a shame issue. No one. And I wish they had. I don't blame them.
Well, your defense mechanism was way too strong. So that's what that was. They couldn't find it because you didn't let it out. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
You knew the right answers to the right questions.
You know, I wasn't even aware of it. I didn't let it. It wasn't until I went through this that God showed me, you've got a shame issue.
I was just sorry to cut you off, but I was just about to ask you. That's crazy. I was just about to ask you, did God? Do you think God revealed something to you about your own heart?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was all him. I rebuilt my friendships. I added new ones. I went deeper with them after the divorce and separation, all that stuff. And that support was important. But yeah, God, you know, I got it right here. First thing I did is go out and buy myself a new Bible and started underlining. And I said, I'm going to trust this. And there's one verse. I'm just going to share a couple. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
Psalm 17:7 struck me. It says, wondrously show your steadfast love. The word wondrously do it? I don't know if I know I had never prayed that or thought that or asked. I like that, the abundantly, wondrously show it. And there's, it's got one of those little numbers and footnotes on it. And so the wondrously show your steadfast love um, actually means wondrously distinguish me through your steadfast love. And that's so I was distinguished not by shame. I was distinguished not by failures. I was distinguished by how great his love was for me. And that started transformation. And it's like, I want to be a different person. And so again, God downloaded in my head, well, there's a lot of crap out there about after you go through a divorce. It's like you need to rediscover who you are and get your new identity and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, well, I don't know. I am still Keith, husband, married, all that sort of stuff. Like, am I really that different? I thought, well, I want to be more like Jesus was. And I wanted to be accurate in who he was. So I thought, I'm going to look up all the prophecies in the Old Testament that describe who the Messiah, the Savior, Jesus, what were the signs that he was there and going to arrive. And then I'm going to look for their fulfillment in the New Testament. And so I came up with 14. And they're in here in the front of my Bible. And so, for example, in Isaiah 42, 1-4, it talks about Jesus being gentle like a reed. And so I wrote, I will be gentle and not raise my voice, because that had become a problem for me in my home. And then in Matthew 12, 18-21, it talks about Jesus being gentle. So the prophecy of the Messiah will be gentle, and here it was fulfilled in Matthew. It's like, now I want to become that. Now, every verse I find in my Bible that's related to that, I highlight in green, because green is growth. I want that. I will be strong and humble. Versus controlling and guarded and things, and I've got the Old Testament and the New Testament fulfillment of it. I will be quiet when accused, attacked, or criticized. And we know Jesus was just silent, before all the accusers and stuff. And in court was horrible. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, because there was no real reason for divorce. Like, yeah, we still needed help, but not divorce as a solution. They could only come up with a whole bunch of lies. And she had a good lawyer. I've actually recommended her lawyer to a couple clients and said, as I said, if you don't have any morals, go with this lawyer. They'll win your case. But if you're bothered by lying and deception and deceit and things, you may not want to go with her. But she had a good winning strategy where she just tore me down with lies and accusations and things that just weren't true through everything. But I went through it because I'll be quiet when accused and attacked. And I set as my goal, it was really funny. I was at a restaurant one day in the process of divorce, and my wife came around the corner. She had been eating on the other side, and she saw me and she jumped, like literally jumped off the ground. And I thought, whoa, she is stressed. I don't want her being stressed. She's the mother of my children. I don't want them being stressed. I purpose to do nothing to add to stress, and I won't go in the dirt. Like my lawyer said, Keith, you need to go in the dirt. And I'm like, no, my goal in this is to not have stress. I'll present the truth. Go ahead.
Well, your heart truly don't hate any of them.
There's no animosity.
No, there's not, man. And you don't want to make someone's life harder than it has to be anyway, because that does nothing for us. I know there's people out there that love the revenge or stuff, but no, good people, they don't do that. They just can't do that. Yeah. I understand.
But it's tough not to when you've got crazy stories being told. So there's another passage in Psalm 7. It says, the Lord judges the people. So I thought, okay, this is about judgment with God, not what's going on in the courtroom. There's a higher level going on here. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, according to the integrity that is in me. Now, I had destroyed my integrity. When I started in my counseling, I would say, if it doesn't work at home, don't export it. Don't tell other people what to do. If you're not at least putting it into practice, it may not be going perfectly, but you're putting it into practice as best you can. And if you're not, don't export it. Well, I drifted from that. It was a pretty slow drift over 30 years where I was okay being one way at home and a different way with clients I was working with. And so I had to restore my integrity. And in Proverbs, I think it's Proverbs 20, it says, a man's integrity is a blessing to his children. And I thought, you know what? I have no access to my kids. I am not reaching out to them now at this point. We've tried that sort of thing. They're not reaching out to me. I have no access. But the Bible says integrity of a man will be a blessing to his children. I can still be a blessing to my children. I don't know what it's looking like. I don't know how it's coming into their lives, but I know as I walk in more integrity now, as much as is possible, I'm still blessing them, and I still have influence and input in their life because of that. And that's satisfying. That gives me peace. I believe I'm legally divorced, but nothing happened nothing breaks a covenant other than death. That's why there's no marriage in heaven. Because death breaks the covenant. And that's the only thing. And that's my opinion, and that's my study. And I see it as a protection, just staying single and focusing now on reestablishing myself and my identity in Jesus and offering that hope. So he restored me back. I took 2 years off. I shut down what I was doing and didn't work with couples for 2 years. And dug into that identity, those things in my Bible, talking with a few pastors, hiring the services of a few more coaches just for myself. And then in weird ways, people started telling me, you need to get back out there and stuff. And then I was afraid. I was afraid of these people are going to say, why should I ever listen to you? Like, you couldn't even keep your own marriage together. Why should I listen to you? And that's where the shame surfaced and stuff. But I got rid of that shame. There is no shame. I'm covered in the blood. There are consequences for the things I let happen in my heart. And there are consequences for the way I treated my wife and my kids. And I live with those consequences. Like, there's just a reality. But it doesn't undo the 27 years where I was helping couples. And there is something to offer. And God says, I can still use you.
Amen.
But Keith, try to stay
today?
a little more humble and stuff.
What about today, Coach? Where's Coach Keith today?
On what? In what level? What area?
You're professional, or you're coaching. you. Where are you today? What's up with Coach Keith today?
So I'm back to doing it after 2 years.
Good.
I actually shut what I was doing down 3 different times over the 30 years. Built back up. And so I've been doing that now for like the last year intentionally. And I come at it with a lot more sympathy, a softer heart for understanding people, a lot more oomph. You know, Josh, what's that word you used?
Oomph. Not more oomph.
Yeah.
See, Josh says it better, don't he? He did that during pre-show. Oomph.
Can we not change the title to like Doctor of Oomph or something?
Oomph.
But a lot more oomph for, like, one, I don't want people to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
That mentorship, and I'm coming probably in it back to as I was initially, humbled.
Amen.
With a desire to serve and just available, believing that God will bring the people to me.
Amen. And how can they find you, Coach Keith? That would be at Keith.coach, right? What could they find if they go to Keith.coach?
Okay, a couple of things. They'll find my coaching that I do. They can schedule that there. But I have there's a sample there they can do of a free resource called the Communication Cure, which is the method I use in my coaching. Like I said, the holding hands, going face to face and asking questions. People would ask me at the end of the 15-hour intensive, they would say, what do we do next week when you're not sitting at the end of our bed giving us these questions? Because it's not natural. It's something to learn, and it takes time. And it was 2012, God downloaded this idea of here's how you can replicate those same good outcomes for people at home without your involvement. So they sit and they watch. It's like here's the question I ask people: what creates a stronger bond? Two women having a deep heart-to-heart chat, a mother breastfeeding her baby, or a husband and wife Netflix and chilling? Well, the answer is the Netflix and chill.
Oh,
Releases more oxytocin and creates a stronger bond than the long chat with your bestie and even that bond between a mother and child. So what I've done is I've taken 10 just random videos. Like one's a viral moment from America's Got Talent. One is a comedy clip from Dry Bar Comedy. One is a TED Talk. And one is a song that they just watched the lyric video to, but you sit together close, you watch it, and then something underneath is a Prezi presentation that asks questions, and one spouse answers all the questions after they watch that video. The other spouse listens, and then you reverse roles. And it shows how you can take everyday moments, turn them into a meaningful connection, and then you can have the harder talks you might need to have. None of the three of us have ever gone into the gym and looked and go, I'm going to start pressing 200 pounds. We don't start there, right? I was 3 weeks of just picking up this ball and putting it here and no, get me on the barbells. No, my coach built me up to handle the heavy weights. And why counseling goes so wrong for so many people is they step in that office and they're given the big topic to talk about, the affair, the violence, whatever. And there was nothing to build them up to be able to even carry that conversation. So this is a tool that works at a really deep neurological level, an emotional level, and just that feeling of safety as I can talk to you. And so there's a free sample of that there that actually uses a beer and basketball commercial that you watch for 4 minutes. How non-threatening is that to anybody? Beer, it's not Caitlin Clark getting beat up on the court. It's actually a moving, positive video, but it's beer and basketball based. And then you talk about the ideas of that as a couple and how it pertains to you. And people cry and people laugh, and they've never experienced that for a long time in their marriage. This tool just helps you do that. So that's what they can find on that site. I would say go to it.
Wonderful, you guys. So go check out Keith.com for your
Keith.coach.
Keith.coach. I'm sorry. Keith.coach, which is brilliant, by the way. I'm so surprised you got
no
it.
One
go
can
check it out, guys.
No one can pronounce Dorsch, so I'm not going to use that.
He said Josh says it right.
Dorsch, yeah.
He puts the oomph in it.
He puts the oomph.
Speaking in Dorsch, yes, like the Scottish way of saying it. Yes.
Well, I'm glad that you joined us tonight, Coach Keith, and came on and shared a little bit of your story with us, man. You guys that need some marriage counseling or need some advice, go check it out, man. Go check.
If you want to watch some
Coach.
Yeah, or go to his YouTube. Check him out there.
That's
too.
Right.
We'll be linking his YouTube in our description later once the video is uploaded.
Absolutely.
And give him a look, man. He's definitely.
Absolutely.
I would definitely trust a mechanic that's worked on 1,000 cars.
Come on,
if you go through such hard things in life, you know what? And I'm at the brink of that too. I'm going to listen to you.
Even if my own car broke down, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. But
see what
you somehow rebuilt it yourself. But you rebuilt it yourself. You had the manual. You had the manual to rebuild it, but you built it yourself. Oh yeah. So
that's where you start, right? You get that manual.
Yeah, that manual. You write notes in your manual, and that's good. You
got anything before my final thoughts, Mr. Josh?
I don't, man. It's wonderful, wonderful guest, man. I'm happy. Yeah.
Great guest. All right, Mr. Keith, before we get going, I'm going to do my final thoughts, man. Again, thank you so much for coming on and joining us, man. And I'm sure this is going to touch somebody out there that needs to listen to it. If it wasn't tonight, and it will be a time. But these are my final thoughts. Tonight reminded us that failure doesn't disqualify us. It reminds us how desperately we all need God's grace. Keith's story isn't ultimately about a marriage that ended. It's about a God who never walks away. Maybe you're watching tonight carrying shame over your past. Maybe your family is hurting. Maybe you're convinced you've gone too far. Hear this. God is still in the business of restoring hearts, rebuilding lives, and writing new chapters. Your worst mistake does not have to become the final sentence to your story. As long as there's breath in your lungs, there's hope in Christ. And those are my final thoughts. Coach, thanks for joining us, buddy. And
Yeah, man.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate what you do, your time, your energy, your resources,
yeah, man.
and your hearts, for sure.
God
Thanks, man.
bless you, sir. Thanks for coming on. And we got an open door policy here, man. You're welcome back to come back anytime you want. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you so
Cool.
much. God bless
Look
you,
forward
sir.
to it. Thanks, sir.
My
right.
brother,
Good guess, man. Good
Coach
guess. See,
Keith.
we need more people like that.
the
You know what
love
I mean?
doctor.
It's, instead of letting the love doctor, instead of
That's right.
letting life beat him down,
That's
he
right.
made something out of it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? He made, yeah.
You know,
I mean, we all
there's a
make
lot of people that
mistakes.
wouldn't have, there's a lot of people that would not have kept doing that career just because their own marriage failed. That doesn't mean he's not qualified to.
That
to
means he's
to-
overly qualified.
Yeah,
actually,
know
you
what I
mean?
mean?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
you
who
know?
else is better qualified? You know what I mean?
Because I can tell you this: people that are silent to each other like that and treat each other, that is hard. That
Yeah.
silence is worth. I'd rather
Yes.
you holler at me. I'd rather you punch me in my head than to
Yeah,
be
man.
quiet for a
Yep.
month, man. Because
Yeah.
it
That'll drive
makes
me
your
nuts.
self worth feel like nothing.
Absolutely, man.
Good guess, man. Good
Yeah.
show, bro.
That was a good guess. Good show. We got us another guest coming on next
Next week, eh?
weekend too. We got us another guest, and guess what? It's going to be titled
What's it?
Special
The
Guest.
guest. Special guest. I don't even know their name. You know, special guest.
You guys don't forget that we'll be here next week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Same place as everywhere you can find us. And do me a favor, remember, that your rope's longer than you think. God's rope, it has no end. And hold on tight.
In a world that feels so dark, we carry hope, we spark a spark. Faith and love, we come alive. Together here on Light It Up Live. So light it up, let His love shine. Stories of grace, hope redefined. Heart to heart, let's lift our eyes. Welcome home to Light It Up Live. Welcome home to Light It Up Live. In a world that feels so dark, we carry hope, we spark a spark. Faith and love, we come alive. Together here on Light It Up Live. So light it up, let His love shine. Stories of grace, hope redefined.